NFL free agency day one rolls along. You got Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. with you live on Chat Sports, and also breaking down this Dolphins news here on our Dolphins YouTube channel. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Chase, Cedrick Wilson from the Cowboys, he's signing with Miami. 3-year deal. As we film this, contract details have not yet come in. If they do, we will update that for you guys either in the comments of this video or before the end of this cut. What are your instant takeaways? Speedy guy who stepped up with Michael Gallup injured for a lot of last year. I like this deal quite a bit.
Yeah, he's a speedy wide receiver who I think figures in nicely to the Dolphins' plans as a number 2 or 3 wide receiver, and I think he's perfectly suited for that role. You have Jalen Waddle emerging as your number 1 wide receiver, and after that, you bring back Mike Gesicki on the franchise tag, Cedrick Wilson. You also signed Chase Edmonds today. So what is Mike McDaniel and this offensive staff doing? They're loading up the offensive side of the football with some really nice complementary weapons for Tua Tagovailoa, and now, just like last year, it becomes a make-or-break year for Tua to see what he can do. And for Cedrick Wilson, great year last year. I thought he really flashed. I think he's a very solid football player. 45 catches, 602 yards, has big play ability, 6 touchdowns, long of 73. He can take the top off of the defense, but also do work on the underneath routes.
Yeah, and we've got the contract details, so we'll circle back to that right now.
My guess was going to be 7.
That's, yeah, I mean, 3 years, 22.8, 12 and a half, 12 and 3 quarters guaranteed.
That's a good payday for him.
Yeah, good payday for him. But I don't think it's, some major overpay either. This is a speedy guy who can be your slot receiver for the next 3 years. I like what Miami's doing, Chase, because they're bringing in playmakers that are affordable. Sure, they're not going to terrify opposing defenses, but you're adding more and more weapons and guys that Tua can get the ball to in open space. I like this deal. What do you guys think? Grade the move. Cedrick Wilson to the Dolphins for just under 3 years and $23 million. Scale it from 1 to 100. 100 being you love it, 1 being you hate it. I'd give this like an 80. I think it's good. It's a solid B move. I think for where Miami is right now and how they're building this thing, I think Cedrick Wilson makes a lot of sense.
And for a player of his caliber, he's getting paid that contract that we just broke down, $7-8 million per year. We'll see what the average annual value ends up being. But the point here being, Harrison, when you're paying a player that caliber, that amount of money, it's a really good deal. And for Mike McDaniel, I think why I'm high on him is he was really credited last year with coming up with plays to put the ball in the hands of Deebo Samuel. And outside of quarterbacks, I thought he could have been the most valuable offensive player last year. He got creative, and he prioritized putting the football in the hands of our best players. And I think that's what he's going to do in Miami. He's going to get Gesicki involved. He's going to get Jalen Waddle involved. And now you have a nice little gadget guy who actually has some pretty decent size, too, at 6'2", 195.
Yep.
With that vertical speed, but also, as I talked about, the underneath routes, you find a way to just get him involved in the offense, and it's yet another threat to the opposing defense. And considering the contract that you're giving him, I think this is a loss for Dallas, and I think it's a win for Miami from a coaching standpoint. They're going to find ways to really maximize his abilities.
Something he did pretty well last year for Dallas was work the seam, kind of that, those skinny posts, kind of those crossing routes. I think that Wilson's going to bring that to the table for Miami. Dolphins starting to make moves. This is the time to subscribe to Miami Dolphins today. Link is down below, youtube.com/Dolphins News. If you're watching on our Dolphins channel, hit that red subscribe button. We're closing in on 22,000 subscribers. Exciting times around Miami right now with the new coaching staff, bringing in some new players as well, like Cedrick Wilson. Subscribe. We will continue to have you guys covered throughout NFL free agency. Chase, we'll kind of circle back to some of the other moves from earlier today. The big one right off the bat, it was right before free agency opened for the legal tampering period. Miami agreed to bring back Emmanuel Ogbah, 4 years, $65 million, about half of which is guaranteed.
And I like it. You got to prioritize pass rushers, especially in today's pass-happy NFL. And I actually think this is a pretty solid value signing as well. We've seen Miami really be aggressive in free agency the last couple of years. Stephen Ross, hey, I know he's dealing with some other things right now. He's invested. He's trying to win. Splash signings, splash head coach hiring, that really wasn't the normal route. Like, that was kind of outside of the box thinking, and I like that. And for Ogbah, 9 sacks last year, 41 tackles. He's still young. He can play. And then Chase Edmonds, 2 years, 12 and a half. Really, it almost comes down to a 1 year, $6 million deal. He is a good dual threat back. You don't want him being your every down back, But as a pass-catching back who can run out on wheel routes and screens, I like it. He can line up in the slot as well, and I think he's going to help Jalen Waddle a little bit, get up and down vertically more in this offense.
Yeah, I like what Miami's doing. One thing they're not doing is overpaying. I think they're getting some good
fiscally responsible contracts.
Signings. Yeah, now they're not, getting A-level guys, but they're getting kind of these second, third-tier guys that have got good experience the last couple of years, guys like Edmonds, guys like Wilson. Maybe slightly overpaid for Ogba, but $16 million a year for a guy who has 19 sacks in the last 2 years. I mean, that's kind of what you pay for. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes in the NFL. So I like where Miami sits, and I'm curious to see what they do moving forward here. Grade the moves so far. A, B, C, D, or F. Grade how Miami has spent their free agency period thus far. I'd give it a solid B+. Chase, thoughts?
I'm about there, yeah, and somewhere in that B range. B, maybe straight up instead of B+.
All right, there you go. A, B, C, D, or F.
Offensive line, they need something there.
Yeah, and let's talk about what's next now. Offensive line, need to make moves. I would like to bring in Bradley Bozeman to Miami, be that starting center, a stabilizer on that offensive line. You could use a backer. There's guys out there like Anthony Walker, Anthony Hitchens, that are available to sign. Leighton Vander Esch if they want to go that route. Really across the entire offensive line, though, Chase, they could certainly fill that out.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're going to go the route of Terron Armstead of New Orleans. A little bit of a checkered injury past there, and the age is somewhat of a concern. Plus, he's going to get a lot of money. He has not signed anywhere yet as of 3:45 p.m. Central on Monday, day one of NFL free agency. But in order for the offense to work, Mike McDaniel has his fingerprints, or at least had his fingerprints last year on the running game for San Francisco. I think he can add an element to the pass game as well offensively. You need to be able to protect. You need to be able to run block. So I think we're going to shift from these signings to maybe Miami prioritizing up front along that offensive line, because if you can't pass protect and you can't pave open some of those running lanes, it doesn't matter what the play calls are. They're going to get blown up really quickly if you don't have protection.
My final thoughts on what Miami has done so far, beyond the offensive line, they still need to make moves there, is they're giving Tua pieces without overpaying to do so. And I like that for two reasons. One, he needs to perform at a higher level this year. And if he doesn't, then you go get someone else, and you haven't overpaid this offseason to bring in a guy like that for this quarterback. So it's a big year for Tua. It's a big year for the Miami Dolphins, and it's a big year for the Miami Dolphins. And I'll just verbally mention this, and we'll get a couple of graphics up here for the back end of this cut. Teddy Bridgewater is going to sign a one-year deal to be the backup quarterback in Miami behind Tua Tagovailoa, Chase.
Wow.
I actually like this quite a bit because, A, it gives you security behind Tua. This is a guy who has started the past 2 years, and I'm actually a little surprised. I think Teddy probably saw this. I'm probably not going to start anywhere unless Indianapolis comes calling. And two, if Tua struggles, you can go to a guy who's played at a pretty decent level the past couple of years. I like this move. We'll see what the contract details are beyond it being a one-year deal.
Yeah, let's break it down from a philosophical, organizational philosophy standpoint, right? Good English there by me. But Mike McDaniel on the private jet to Miami FaceTime with Tua and said, "I can't wait to work with you, man." And he said, I prioritize bringing the best out of quarterbacks. And really, he's done that throughout his coaching career with Jimmy Garoppolo, with Robert Griffin III, and with Matt Ryan in Atlanta. Mike McDaniel, while he gets a lot of credit for a lot of the run game aspects with San Francisco last year, he's also done a decent job of helping to develop quarterbacks. Now, he wants to work with Tua. But let's be real. The first 2 years of Tua's career, he's been spotty, he's been up and down, he's been sporadic, and he hasn't lived up to those expectations.
Yep.
And the Miami Dolphins realistically probably wish and hope that they would have taken Justin Herbert. So they might move forward with Tua, Harrison. But in case it doesn't work out, they know that on a one-year deal for a guy who's from the area and Teddy Bridgewater, they can go to him if Tua gets hurt because he has injury issues, checkered past there, and if Tua doesn't play up to snuff, they go with Teddy Bridgewater, who started a lot of games with Minnesota, with Denver. Teddy's probably signing the short-term contract because he signed that big deal a couple years ago with Carolina. He's cool in terms of cash, and he realizes that by going to Miami, offensive play caller, creative offensive mind, and the future of Tua is somewhat in question. He could see himself playing a little bit.
He's also from Miami.
Yeah,
so you've got
that's what I said, yeah.
You've got that connection as well. And quite frankly, the pieces Miami have actually kind of fits Teddy Bridgewater. A lot of underneath throws to guys like Jalen Waddle, Cedrick Wilson, Mike Gesicki. We know Bridgewater isn't a vertical thrower. So, yeah, I think he stylistically fits this team as a backup quarterback, and Tom Pelissero is reporting it that he will be the backup to Tua. So I think Miami's committed there. But, hey, you start like 2-4 and Tua's struggling, you got a guy you can turn to in Teddy Bridgewater. So which free agent addition was Miami's best on day one? And maybe there's more to come. Bridgewater's the most interesting, Chase. I don't know if he's the best, but certainly the most interesting. If you had to pick one guy, you going with bringing back Agba?
I'd probably go that route. One more thought on Tua. What do you need at the quarterback spot? Insurance. At the worst case scenario, you need some quarterback assurance. And that's what Teddy Bridgewater gives you, is quarterback insurance.
And that'll be obviously a signal that Jacoby Brissett will sign elsewhere.
Yeah.
I think we thought that would be the case anyway. But here you go. Moves coming in left and right on free agency day. That's why you subscribe to Chat Sports. More NFL coverage throughout free agency. But we also cover the NBA and college football as well. Subscribe now, youtube.com/chatsportstv. And if you're watching this on our Miami Dolphins channel, Chase and I are probably still live breaking things down.